Hello and welcome to a slightly different video from us here. We're going to be letting the footage do the talking mostly on this one. This is going to follow the late night progress of building the bases for my Nurgle army. So mostly it's kind of a fly on the wall take on just, what has gone into that. Plenty of tips and trips. There's a trip with some tips and some tricks coming up on different aspects of how I do my basing and stuff like that. Even if it isn't strictly a tutorial, we'll go more in depth on them at the end with some more kind of thorough information. Yes, you should put your green stuff in the freezer, and no, we weren't joking. If you were wondering, you definitely should put it in the freezer. More on that towards the end. Anyway, hopefully you enjoy this video on the fairly unique basing for my Demons of Nurgle army. So I'm fully aware that this isn't one of the most efficient ways to base an army, far from it. In fact, the fact that it kind of slows you down, I think, is part of its strength. But yeah, I do appreciate that there are far more efficient ways to do your basing. For me, I've got some nice comments about it, and even though it's quite low-key, to have people notice it, ask how it's done, ask where I bought the bases, which was from my own soul with blood, sweat and tears. Yeah, that made it really worth it for me in hindsight. And when you're doing something like that that's quite subtle, it's really nice when people notice it. So hopefully the fact it's been done to a good degree has kind of made the time a lot more worth it. Okay, so made a load of progress there with Puppy's base. Hopefully you could see I was trying to make sure that essentially there wasn't a gap under his belly because it's a very flat gap, because it's the bottom of model that's meant to go on flat bases. So I made sure the grounds come up to meet his belly, at least for the majority of it, so that shouldn't stand out. Left some pools for some water, or just depressions, raised areas, or otherwise. And what we're going to do now is we'll get out some special stuff. So everyone should have some of this stuff kicking about. This is very, very dry. Don't go and grab something damp. That's not going to work out well. But I've got out the big guns. Noisy, sorry. I've gone to the basing bits box. So as you can see, there's bits of really dry wood in here. Loads of random stuff that could be rocks or wood or trees or stuff like that. And I'm going to use this to add some personality to the base. So for example, let's say I wanted to have something running along here. I could pop something like that. So hopefully it looks really nice. The green stuff is still slightly pliable. That's going to allow me to press this into it. That's helpful for a number of reasons. It looks more organic. It'll hold on to it. I don't have to play with glue, and it lets me kind of gently put stuff there, play around, and then if I like it, I can press it in and it'll stay there forever. So let's go. Okay, so we do have a little bit of an issue, which is that we have to make flying stands for our drones, which they're not ball and socket ones or anything, they just poke in. We have to get them to work with these, and we can't just, go into the circles that'd be on a normal base. So what we're going to do is make our own little sockets. Shouldn't be too hard. 3 stages of plastic card should do it. Actually, I've done that. Cut a strip. You only need to score plastic card, it snaps really easily. Snap. Obviously take care of this, but it's quite a safe process. Do bear in mind that you have to be turning your blade clockwise. Generally, if you spin it both ways, anti-clockwise might undo your pin vise. Doesn't always, but it can do, so I tend to go just in the one direction, unless I'm actually cutting. Give it a few goes until you think it's a bit too small, because you never want to go too big. You can't reverse that. So there you go. Still a bit too small. There we go. and you want it stiff. So unless it's bowing the plastic, like unless the plastic, it'll only go through with the plastic, like bananas, you want a really snug fit. So a couple of stages of those. If I grab the one that's already got some on, there you go, so we get those. Then what I'll do is I'll put some glue around the side to attach them together, pull the pin out so the pin doesn't come, irreversibly attached, and we'll leave that to dry fully. We'll then put that in a little pile of green stuff and it's going nowhere. If you wanted your guide to be flying at an angle, you can do this whatever, and because these are plastic, you can even have these coming, at 90 degrees off a plastic pillar from terrain or something like that. So I really like this as an option, and you get a very snug fit, like a really, really snug fit. This is going nowhere. If it ever gets loosened from use, you can just put a little dribble of plastic glue in there and then leave it, and that'll have made the aperture, the hole tighter, and you'll get a snug fit. So yeah, that's how I'll be doing it. Just need to do this 6 times, so it shouldn't take too long. So another bonus of this basing is it is incredibly durable. If you drop all of these miniatures, just like I built my Slaanesh Keeper of Secrets and the model that I'm using for the one that was based on the Vermin Lord, they've been built with sprue glue. They're tough. It's like they've been built from a GW kit, not a delicate GW kit, but like a strong chunky one with good bonds. And it's really important for me that if I drop things or knock things, they bounce, or if my opponents pick them up, they don't feel, like super delicate. So yeah, the durability of the green stuff in comparison to something that would chip, like polyfiller or milliput, I think is a real plus at the very least. All right, so that brings it to a close. Progress was made. It is looking pretty good. I do like how these bases look. I fully appreciate that it's not, timely whatsoever. To touch on the green stuff, freezer reference that I made, a couple of points. So what condition you put green stuff in a freezer, if you do freeze it, which you should,
it will stay in that condition. So if you take lovely, fresh, silky smooth green stuff that's not got any chunks in it, and you put it in a freezer and you take it out a year later, it will be in exactly the same state. So Ziploc bag in a Tupperware, in a freezer, thank me later. It is the best tip for green stuff I've ever discovered, really. You can take it out and defrost it between your palms in like a minute, so it's no faff whatsoever. Just take out what you need and leave the rest in the freezer. If you put old crappy green stuff in the freezer, you will maintain that until the end of time. So there's not really any point doing that. But if you have some stuff that is good and it does make a huge difference, then yeah, you should do it. Please let us know what you thought of this type of video. It's a bit slower paced and kind of letting the video do the talking, unlike I am now in the art trick. That's what it's for. So let us know your thoughts. And if you would like any more specific tips or tricks on any aspect of what we're doing, whether it's to do with green stuff and freezers or not, or base building, or my thoughts on things, or you've just got another idea on how to make bases this durable, this cool, in a way that I find enjoyable, I'll take them. I will absolutely take them. I'm fairly married to this style, but I'm not against the idea of trying others. We should have some super interesting content coming up on the channel at some point soon to do with some new 30K stuff. I'm looking forward to that box. It's massive. The contents are all pretty cool, and it's been a while for me since I've painted some power armored infantry. And I do love things that don't have trim because they're easier to paint. So easy to paint organically as well with dry brushing. So fingers crossed, we'll see how that works out. But yeah, hope you're enjoying the army videos, and tune in for the next one, where undoubtedly everything will go completely to plan. I'm sure it won't. I'll catch you in the next video.